Good morning, YouTubers. It is that time. This is the coffee roasting video. We are going to turn this stuff, this green unroasted coffee, into glorious dark roasted coffee using this, a common popcorn popper. Now look inside there. You can kind of see, maybe, that there are slots on the side of that popcorn popper. That allows the air in. It causes the coffee to spin around. Meet Lucky, by the way, and Gigi. Hey, girl. Now you need to go away. You can't be around while we're roasting coffee. That's my puppy. She's so sweet. All right. Bye, Gigi. She's not going to go away. Oh, well, we'll work around her. All right, so if your coffee experience has been like mine used to be, the problem I had with coffee was that I tolerated it because it had caffeine to help me wake up. I really enjoyed the aroma of coffee, but I didn't really enjoy the taste. I had to use cream, sugar, flavorings just to get it, pleasant tasting. But then it didn't really taste like coffee. It smelled great, but it didn't taste like it smelled. Sound familiar, aromatic pipe tobacco? But if you have coffee that has been freshly roasted and freshly ground up, it will actually taste like it smells, and there won't be nearly as much bitterness there. It's amazing, and you'll be able to sit down and enjoy a cup of coffee in the same way you would a cup of wine or a glass of wine or a nice craft beer or even a pipe or a cigar. They're meant to be savored. They're meant to be enjoyed. So, today, we're about to start the roast. We're roasting some coffee from the country of Rwanda. This is a fair trade coffee. It's Dukundekawa Musasa. I pronounced that correctly. That is probably the plantation from which this coffee comes from. So, this popcorn popper, it's really old. They actually don't make this model anymore. But if you go to sweetmarias.com, they have all the information you could ever possibly need about roasting coffee. And they actually have a list of popcorn poppers that are in production that will work. I think Walgreens makes one that is actually supposed to be pretty good. So plugging it in, there's no switch. You just turn it on. So I'm going to dump in the coffee. As you can see, it spins. Now that spinning motion will help throw out the chaff. The coffee produces like a skin, and that skin's going to come off that you'll see. You'll also notice that it kind of has a little bit of weight to it, but it's going to become lighter. It's going to spin a lot easier as the roast progresses because moisture is being given off. And you can probably see the chaff is coming off. But I wanted to take the top off so that you could see. Right now we're at like a green, yellowish color. And it's going to get progressively yellower, and then light brown, and then even dark brown. You can already start to see it change color. And the smell is absolutely amazing. Now we're going to come to a point in the roast when it starts to turn brown where you hear a pop. And that's what we call the first crack. There's a trap bit of moisture in the bean, and as it escapes the bean, it's going to cause the coffee bean to double in size, and it's going to make a loud cracking noise, like a muffled popcorn. And it sounds pretty cool. And once it gets to that point, you can, if you want, stop the roast. And that's about the point where it's drinkable. Now, I like a darker roast, so I like to take it to the second crack. And that's a bit of a lighter, it's a bit of a darker roast, but the crack itself is kind of light. And you can see it's just throwing off all kinds of chaff, and we're starting to get into the first crack. Woo! I hope you can hear that. Still, I mean, it looks, on the video, it looks kind of dark because of the lighting, but it's still actually a very light brown. Now, you can take this roast all the way to burnt if you want to, but that really affects the flavor. The lighter the roast is, the more the flavors are preserved in the coffee. But there's also benefit to getting it a little bit darker. There's other flavors that come out as the roast gets darker. I prefer, a darker roast. Now, there's nomenclature. When it gets to the first crack, they call it a city roast. I don't even know what that means, but as it gets darker, they call it City Plus, then Full City, and then when it gets to the second crack, they call it like a Full City Plus. And if you take it beyond that, they call it a French roast and then an Italian roast. Italian roast is just burnt. Let's look at that. You can see that the coffee is a little bit bigger. It's expanded. You're still getting some residual cracking from the first crack. Woo! It's beautiful. And it smells amazing in here. But it's making a mess. And I'm going to have to clean that up before my wife gets back. Now, there are other machines out there that you can use to roast coffee. They sell home roasting machines. It makes the roast a lot slower and easier to control. This is not precise. This is not going to be precise at all. There are people out there who modify these machines to make them so that you can lower the temperature and make the roast go slower. The slower the roast is, the more it preserves the flavors. My palate is not discerning enough to really tell the difference. So we're in between first and second crack at this point. Well, like I said, this thing is not precise, so you're still going to hear occasional first crack pops. The very first time I tried this, I used a crappy blade grinder and I threw it in a regular coffee machine, and it was still the best coffee I'd ever had in my life. So even this, if you tried this for the first, if you did this for the first time yourself, it would probably be better than anything you'd ever seen. So, as you can see, it's getting darker. You can hardly see it now. So what happens when this is completed, you're going to want to use a colander or like a salad spinner to air out and cool it off. You want to stop the roasting process as soon as you can. So, well, that's about it. I mean, we're coming up on 10 minutes. You get the idea. I'm going to let it continue roasting, and then I'm going to cool it down. I really don't have much to add. You just got to cool it off immediately after it's done. Let's see where it's at. We're still waiting for second crack. After it gets to the second crack, I'm gonna cut it off, and I'm gonna cool it down. When you're done roasting, you're gonna want to put it in like an airtight container, but you're gonna want to keep the lid off for like the first 12 hours to allow the gases to escape. It puts off a lot of CO2, and it gets to its peak flavor state about 3 days after it's fully roasted. Now, it's not saying you can't grind it up and use it immediately after you roast it, because I'm going to roast it I'm going to brew it up tonight. But the flavors are just a tiny bit muted, and the flavors open up after about 3 days or so. It's personal preference. There is no right or wrong, so just have fun with it. And I'm going to be making other videos in the future about how to grind it up, how I brew it. William043 just made a video of how he does his French press. Excellent technique. Now you combine freshly roasted coffee with a nice grinder and an excellent brewing method like the French press, you've got yourself some amazing coffee. I have made literally thousands of cups of coffee using coffee that I roasted from this roaster right here. And I'm happy. I love it. It's easy. All you gotta do is turn this thing on and dump coffee in there and let it go for about 7-8 minutes or whatever. And that's it. You have the best coffee you've ever had, and it takes just a little bit of time. Not a lot of expertise, just a little bit of time. And as you perfect your expertise, as you get your techniques better, the coffee just gets even better. But even with no experience, you're going to make the best cup of coffee you've ever had. Do it! Thanks for watching, YouTube. See you next time.